She lost her match hours earlier. Nobody expected her to smile that night. But when Roger Federer walked back onto Arthur Ashe Stadium for the first time in years, Eala wasn't just watching. She was living a moment millions of fans dream about. Cameras caught her reaction, fans caught the connection, and within hours, the internet couldn't stop talking about it. This is the story of the night a rising star sat feet away from a living legend, and why it means more than anyone expected. It was supposed to be just another evening at the US Open. Fans packed the stands at Flushing Meadows, phones ready, hearts racing, waiting for something they hadn't seen in years. Roger Federer, stepping back onto a competitive tennis court. The event, billed as US Open, Roger Federer, an icon, returns to New York, promised nostalgia, star power, and a celebration of everything that made tennis magical for 2 decades. What nobody could have predicted was how much of the real story would unfold not on the court, but in the stands. Because seated among the crowd, dressed in bright yellow and glowing with unmistakable excitement, was 21-year-old Filipina sensation Eala. Just hours earlier, she had walked off the same grounds following a tough mixed doubles exit alongside partner Felix Auger-Aliassime. It was the kind of loss that could easily deflate anyone's spirits before a Grand Slam singles campaign. But something changed the moment Federer walked out. Eala wasn't there as a competitor that night. She was there as a fan, the same way millions of people around the world have watched Federer for years, wide-eyed and grateful. And that's exactly what made the moment so powerful. Beside her sat Norwegian star Casper Ruud and her own mixed doubles partner Auger-Aliassime, both soaking in the same electric atmosphere. Around them, tennis royalty filled the box. Legends, celebrities, and icons from entirely different worlds, all gathered for one man's comeback. Anna Wintour, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Serena Williams, Gayle King. It was the kind of guest list usually reserved for award shows, not tennis exhibitions. But this wasn't just any exhibition. This was Roger Federer, 4 years after retirement, stepping back into the spotlight that once belonged entirely to him. And somewhere in that crowd, a young athlete who grew up idolizing him got to witness it firsthand. Not from a television screen, not from a highlight reel, but live, in person, close enough to feel every bit of the magic. For Eala, it was more than entertainment. It was a full-circle moment in a career that's still being written. And for fans watching from home, it was proof that even in defeat, some nights still turn into ones you'll never forget. To understand why this moment hit so hard, you have to go back a few weeks to Wimbledon, where Eala's incredible run captured the tennis world's attention. Ranked outside the spotlight for most of her career, Eala fought her way to the round of 16, taking on Italy's Jasmine Paolini in a match that had fans on the edge of their seats. She ultimately fell short, 4 sets deep in a battle that showed both her grit and her ceiling. But here's the detail that changed everything. Roger Federer was reportedly among those who watched that very match. For a young player who grew up idolizing him, having one of the greatest of all time witness her breakthrough performance was already surreal. Now, just weeks later, the roles reversed. This time, it was Eala in the stands, watching Federer's return to the court he once ruled for 2 decades. The symmetry wasn't lost on fans. Social media lit up with comments connecting the dots. The same 2 names orbiting each other's biggest moments months apart. It's the kind of storyline that feels almost scripted, except it isn't. It's simply what happens when 2 paths in tennis quietly intersect at the right place, at the right time. Federer, for his part, has always been generous with his praise for rising talent, often speaking about the importance of supporting the next generation of players. His presence near Eala's career even indirectly carries weight in a sport where legends rarely acknowledge newcomers this early. For Eala, this wasn't just a fun night out. It was validation. It was a reminder that her rise hasn't gone unnoticed by the very people she once only watched from afar. The US Open Fan Week was designed to celebrate legends and introduce new stars side by side. And in this moment, that exact vision came to life. Rising stars like Eala, Iva Jovic, Joao Fonseca, and Marta Kostyuk were all part of the week's festivities, sharing space with icons whose careers helped define the sport. but it was Eala's presence, paired with her Wimbledon story, that gave this particular night its emotional pull. Sometimes the most powerful moments in sports aren't about competition at all. They're about connection, timing, and the quiet passing of a torch that hasn't even fully happened yet, but somehow already feels real. When Roger Federer walked onto Arthur Ashe Stadium, the reaction was immediate. A standing ovation that lasted long enough to remind everyone why he became one of the most beloved athletes in sports history. This wasn't a competitive match with rankings or trophies on the line. It didn't need to be. Facing his old rival, Andy Roddick, Federer looked every bit the champion fans remembered, closing out the set with a commanding 6-3 victory. But the night wasn't finished. Federer returned to the court for a doubles exhibition, teaming up with fellow legend John McEnroe against Roddick and Andre Agassi, sealing a thrilling 7-5 win. 4 Hall of Fame caliber players sharing one court, one last time in this configuration, was a rare gift for anyone lucky enough to be watching live, and Eala was one of them. Speaking about his return afterward, Federer expressed how meaningful it felt to be back at the venue that hosted so many defining moments of his career, saying, "It felt great to be back in New York." For someone whose career practically wrote the modern history of the sport, that kind of sentiment resonated deeply with everyone in attendance, including the next generation of players watching closely from the stands. Eala, alongside Ruud and Auger Aliassime, watched every point unfold from a courtside vantage point most fans could only dream about. It wasn't just a show, it was a masterclass in presence, poise, and love for the game. Qualities that rising stars like Eala are still developing as they carve their own paths. The symbolism of the night ran deep. Legends closing one chapter of tennis history, while newcomers absorbed lessons that no coaching manual could ever teach. For Eala specifically, having just competed on the same grounds hours earlier, the timing added an extra layer of meaning. She wasn't just enjoying a celebrity-studded event, she was witnessing, in real time, the standard that generations before her set, and quietly measuring herself against it. Fans across social media flooded timelines with clips of the exhibition, celebrating both Federer's enduring class and the young stars soaking it all in. It became less about nostalgia and more about continuity, proof that tennis's greatest eras don't simply end, they hand off, moment by moment, court by court, generation by generation. On the surface, this looks like a simple story. A young athlete attends a star-studded exhibition and enjoys watching a legend play. But scratch beneath the surface, and there's something far more meaningful happening here. Eala isn't just another face in the crowd. She represents one of tennis's most compelling rising storylines. A Filipina athlete breaking into the sport's highest levels, climbing to a career-high ranking, and doing so with a level of humility that fans and analysts alike have praised repeatedly. Her presence at Federer's comeback wasn't a coincidence of scheduling. It was a reflection of where her career currently sits, firmly among the sport's next wave of relevant names, invited to share spaces with legends and current stars alike. The US Open's Fan Week was intentionally built to blend eras, pairing established greats with athletes like Eala, Joao Fonseca, Iva Jovic, and Lerner Tien, all considered part of tennis's exciting future. That Eala found herself seated beside Casper Ruud, a Grand Slam finalist, and her doubles partner Felix Auger-Aliassime, a top 5 ranked player, only reinforces how far her career has come in a short amount of time. This wasn't a lucky ticket, it was recognition. Beyond the optics, there's an emotional layer that fans have connected with deeply. Eala has spoken in the past about her admiration for Federer, and the symmetry of him previously watching her breakthrough Wimbledon run adds real substance to what could otherwise be dismissed as just another celebrity sighting. It's a full-circle sports story, the kind that reminds audiences why they fell in love with tennis in the first place, not because of trophies or rankings alone, but because of the human moments that connect legends to newcomers, admiration to inspiration, and one era of greatness to the next. For a sport often defined by individual battles and lonely locker rooms, nights like this reveal something different. A community built across generations, still capable of coming together to celebrate the game itself. And for Eala, who now turns her full attention to her singles campaign at this year's US Open, the timing couldn't have been more fitting. Before stepping into her own high-stakes matches, she got to pause, breathe, and remind herself why she fell in love with tennis to begin with, sitting just feet away from the man who helped shape the sport she now competes in at the highest level. As the lights dimmed on Federer's unforgettable night at Arthur Ashe Stadium, attention quickly shifted to what lies ahead for Eala herself. Her mixed doubles run alongside Felix Auger-Aliassime may have ended earlier than hoped, but her focus now turns entirely to singles competition at the US Open. running from August 30th through September 13th, the final Grand Slam of the season. Currently ranked as high as world number 18, Eala enters this tournament with expectations that would have seemed unthinkable just a couple of years ago. Her breakthrough run at Wimbledon, reaching the round of 16 before falling to Jasmine Paolini, proved she belongs on the sport's biggest stages. Now, the US Open presents another opportunity to build on that momentum in front of an electric New York crowd. The Fan Week festivities leading up to the main draw gave her the chance to compete in exhibition and mixed doubles play alongside some of the sport's biggest names, while also soaking in unforgettable moments like Federer's comeback. Both experiences, competitive and ceremonial, offer valuable preparation heading into a tournament of this magnitude. Fans and analysts will be watching closely to see whether Eala can translate this momentum, energy, and inspiration into deep tournament runs. Her rise has already reshaped conversations about the next generation of women's tennis, placing her alongside contemporaries like Iva Jovic, Marta Kostyuk, and Mira Andreeva as athletes capable of disrupting the established order. If her Wimbledon performance was proof of potential, the US Open singles draw is the next real test of consistency at the top level. And after a night spent watching greatness up close, there's no shortage of motivation heading into her matches. Whether or not this specific moment with Federer becomes a turning point in her career remains to be seen. But symbolically, it already represents something powerful: the passing of inspiration from one era of tennis to the next. For fans, it's a story worth following closely. For Eala, it's simply the next chapter in a career that keeps producing unforgettable moments on and off the court. As the US Open singles competition begins, all eyes will be on whether she can turn inspiration into results and continue proving that her seat at that legendary night wasn't just symbolic, but earned. If you enjoyed this latest tennis update and want to stay ahead of the biggest stories in the world, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe the channel right now. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment of the action. See you in the next video.